Oh no, now the knee, well that was it. Manu, what's he done there? He's sold the dummy with a knee injury. It's a fake knee injury. Manu's set up a try from Momirovski.
It's the next tackle. He gets an offload. He goes back and gets the football. Probably feels a cramp coming on in the back of his calf. And then just takes off.
Oh, what a beauty. So, you pick which has been the better moment. The bloke kicking the ball back from the traffic at the southern end, or Manu, the cramp, the fibber, and takes off to set up a try.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gents, to another episode of the SuperCoach Tragics podcast. I'm your host, Dan, coach of Badonkadonk. Tonight we have a pretty jam-packed show, so we'll try and get through as fast as possible. We'll start off with introductions. So first up, we have Glenn. Glenn, welcome back, mate.
Hey, mate, how you going?
Not too bad, mate. We'll try and get through it quickly. So also tonight we have Jake. This is your second podcast you've been on, mate. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so, mate. I think so.
Awesome.
I'm back.
Got through those early jitters last time. You did a good job last time, so we had to have you back.
Yeah, mate. Happy to be here and happy for footy to be back.
Yeah, awesome. Also tonight, just for a short time, at the start of the pod, we're going to have Roscoe. Roscoe, welcome back, mate.
Yeah.
So as I don't know, Roscoe is part of the off the bench crew. So we'll get in a bit of a spill after this. And tonight, our special guest, Adrian from SuperCoach Pro. You got some great insights, mate. I've gone through your website myself, and it's bloody amazing some of the stuff you got through. So I'm looking forward to going for that tonight with you.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Just quickly before we start getting into the content, Roscoe, we wanted to do a bit of a spiel on something that we're moving forward on to start off with the KO comp, mate. Can you give us a rundown?
Yeah, so unfortunately, one of our SuperCoach guys' wife or girlfriend tragically passed away at the only age of 30, leaving behind him and a 2-year-old daughter. So what we've done is we're coming up with some fundraisers to try and support him and the family to help them out, because obviously it's a very expensive exercise, you know. So what we're doing is we're going to run a $10 knockout comp, which you can find the details for on the Tragics page or on my page, Nrl Supercoach off the bench. Just pop in there, put your name down if you're interested, and basically Rod will be holding all the money. He will put up the BSB account number that money has to be sent to, and basically $100 to the winner. If they want to donate it, they can. The rest of the money will go to Matt and the family. We are also going to organise possibly some other fundraisers, like some signed jerseys, if we can get some clubs and that on board as well, and whatever else we can do to support Matt through this difficult time for them. So jump on the page, jump into the comp. Once you've paid your money to Rod, he will then give you the code to jump into the group, and it'll be a knockout elimination thing basically. So yeah, whoever you're bursting up against, whoever gets highest score wins and keeps going. If you want to donate more, by all means you can. That'll be, the more the better. We need to get behind this and support Matt and his family during this difficult time. So get on board for a good cause, and hopefully we can get some other stuff on board and really help them out.
Yeah, thanks, Roscoe. So for those that aren't familiar with the KO system, we jump in an overall group. I also run the $5 KO comp that we do at the end of the year. But I think, Roscoe, we haven't really spoken about it, but I think we could do one at the start of the year.
Yeah.
So the way it works is we just get an overall group. We usually randomize the head-to-heads, and then we just go from there. If you beat your head-to-head, you go through the next one. And the last man standing is the winner. So depending on how many runners we get, I'm going to help set everything up with you, Roscoe, and make sure the spreadsheet gets put up, and we'll go as soon as possible. So more the merry, guys. Everyone jump in, please. Like I said, I think a few guys have already said that are happy to donate their own money if they win. So awesome.
As I said too, like if you want to do multiple entries, if you want to set up another account to do another entry, by all means do that as well. If you want to donate extra on top of the $10, that's fantastic. Whatever you guys want to do, that's totally up to you. So, and then once we have more info on this other stuff that we can hopefully get donated, we'll then post those up on the page and probably look at doing some auctions for the jerseys or something like that, I'd say most likely. So let's get behind it and help him out, mate, because it's not, I've been through this with family before, and it's not an easy thing to do, especially at this young age with a 2-year-old daughter as well. So he's going to need all the help he can get.
Awesome. Alrighty. Okay. So yeah, go, Glenn. You go.
Sorry, mate. I just wanted to say, like, there's a lot of us that have built a community. You know, a lot of people that work out there, contributors that have been doing this for a while, and we've built quite a good community in the SuperCoach community. So let's rally. You know, like everybody rally around. Like we're a community, like a family, guys. Let's get behind him. It's $10, man. Let's throw it in and help out a brother, eh?
Also, too, if you know of anyone, if you've got contacts for anyone that can help out to donate anything, please just let me know. Send me a direct message on Facebook. Anything will help. Honestly, let's say thanks, guys. So appreciate that. I'm just going to jump off now. So good luck for the rest of the pod.
Thanks,
Well said, mate. Well said.
Cheers. All right, guys. So now let's get into some SuperCoach content. After that, let's go. NRL Supercoach Pro, mate. I had a look at the website a little bit earlier, and one of my favourite little pages there was the where you can so you had a post about Garner, how he plays in centre wing and he plays in second row. It breaks down the point. I love that in-depth analysis. Like, and that's only one tiny little fraction of what you have on your website, mate. Like, I could be stuck in there for years. So, going to tell us a bit about your website, mate, and how we can get involved.
Yeah, fantastic. Look, I've mainly come from, I started out in Dream Team quite a while ago, then into fantasy, dabbled a little bit in SuperCoach over the last few years. I'm from a math background, ex-math teacher, math graduate, very analytical thinker, real kind of spreadsheet type of person. So over that time, I just started developing a lot of tools on Excel, a lot of stats databases. Started a group called NRL Fantasy Lounge, and a lot of that stuff was pouring out into that group, which all the guys loved. And the sort of thought started building my mind. I'd love to kind of take this somehow online and, maybe even, start a business out of it. And about 3.5 years ago, I finally came across a guy, Andrew Newton, who's a real brilliant guy. He's in software development, web programming, software programming. And the two of us kind of started the conversation and decided, let's do it. It's been about 3.5 years building the product so far. We really could have started putting subscriptions out last year, but we weren't happy with what we had and knew we still had a lot of development to go and was going to be an interrupted season. So we kind of put it off. And we're finally at that point now. Apart from the stats side, over the years, I've kind of like tried to pull in all the different stuff I've done, deep diving players. So you're going over injuries, you're going over suspensions, going over all sorts of various stats sources. So we wanted to build pretty much a one-stop site where you could just have everything you needed right there. We're not going to do podcasting, so we're not going to be a threat to you guys, but we are in the process at the moment of developing a podcasters page where you'll be able to come and browse all of your favorite podcasters and link straight into podcasts from the one page there to make it easier as well. I don't want to, if I started talking about the ins and outs of the site, we'd burn the show. So, really check it out. It's Rugby League Fantasy Pros, the parent. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter under NRL Fantasy Pro, NRL Supercoach Pro. We're all over the socials, so it's hard to miss us.
Yeah, mate. Honestly, I think we've shared a bit of stuff and content on our page as well, which I'm happy to see. A lot of our members are pretty happy to see that kind of information. So fantastic. All right. Did we want to go through some stats, mate? Now, is there anything you had prepared, ready to go for us, mate?
I think I'll just chime in as we go through the schedule.
Awesome. I love it. Sounds good. All right, Glenn. So what do you want to do, mate? Start with some fullbacks, mate.
Fullbacks it is.
All right. So is there any fullbacks? Obviously, we've got the main ones there. We've got the Teddies and the Trells and the Turbos. What are you looking at there, mate? What are the gun fullbacks you're looking at?
Who are you posing the question to?
Glenn, mate.
Glenn's turned feral again, mate. What is going on with my friggin'...
There you go.
That's probably the best I've looked ever on the show. Yeah, there's a few that I like that are dual. So still fall in the fullback category, which would be Savage. I
Mhm.
quite like. I think Hammer's popular. I don't like Hammer. I personally think he's a bit of a trap. Miller is another one that I've been looking at. But yeah, I'm trying to decide between Lats, Drinky as my second to Tedesco if I don't go turbo.
Okay. Jakey, any thoughts there, mate? Any fullbacks different than that?
Hey, I think I'm going to go against everyone, and I'm going cheap. I'm going Ponga and Turbo. I think.
Okay.
I can see value in it. Both have got high ceiling. I mean, Turbo last year was 1.2 million, and everyone was all over him.
Yeah.
This year, 600, and no one wants a bar of him. I just don't get it. But good for me.
Yeah.
That's right, mate. Well, you're not going against me, mate, because I've actually gone a different route as well, actually. So I've gone Turbo and Drinkwater. So
Yeah, I like Drinkwater.
yeah.
I like him.
So there's mainly because of that draw there. So, but I see Adrian there with a big smile on his face. I think he has some stats there for us.
Oh, I'm going to change a lot of picks here. I'm telling you straight up. Look, let's have a look at some interesting stuff. I'm about to reveal who I reckon is going to be the highest point scorer of the season.
Ooh.
And the mind-blowing projection we put them on, and then I'm going to justify it to you. Now, it might happen, it might only be close, but I want to have a look at a couple of things. So let's start with New Zealand Warriors, who I think are actually a weaker team this year than what they were last year. Here we go. So have we got that up on screen?
Yeah, so YouTube
Okay.
you're very happy right now.
Okay, that's the 100+ scores against the Warriors last year.
Wow.
Mazu.
That's a lot of 100+ scores against one team in one season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Look, I think they're a weaker team this year than they even were last year, and they've got an absolutely horrible draw. Okay, has that changed screen?
Not yet. Still on the 100+.
No one.
Okay, just get used to this. Sorry, first time I'm doing the screen share on this. I'll get quicker at it. Okay, so what we've got here is teams draw going through the season. The red highlights are the teams that the team plays twice. And if we have a look at the Roosters down here, they play Redcliffe twice. They play New Zealand twice. They play St. George twice. They play Manly twice, who I think are going to implode this season. So they've got a really sweet draw. Now, I also think that they're a much stronger team with Cheese landing there this year. They've also got Lindsay Collins coming back. All the stars seem to be aligning for Roosters to have an absolute blitz season. There'd probably be a good chance for minor premiership, I'd have to say. I'm no lover of the Roosters. We've also got Tedesco coming into the season having a full preseason under his belt. He hasn't really come into the preseason with any lingering injury worries or anything. And all the stars to us are pointing towards Teddy possibly having a career best season. Now, a few years ago, 2020, he averaged, I think it was 95 points for the year.
Yeah.
If that was 2021, we would have been a bit dismissive of it with 6 again ball. But 2020, we're going to take that pretty serious. And we've got him projecting it at 97 average for the year.
Nice.
We're backing him to have a career season and give that a push with the soft draw they've got. Now, do you want to wait around and come back to him later? Well, round 1, he has Redcliffe. Round 2, he has New Zealand. Round 9, he has New Zealand again. Round 8, he has St. George. Round 12, before Origin starts, he has St. George again. I wouldn't be sleeping. I'd be jumping straight on Teddy right from the get-go. Yeah, interestingly enough, the number 2 rank we have for fullbacks for the season is another fullback. We have Latrell Mitchell going pretty close. Now, Latrell's got a much tougher draw, but he just proved himself to be absolute matchup proof last season.
Yeah, well, I think I'll be rushing to get Teddy back in. I'll look at that.
Yeah, well, I've got Teddy already, and I've got Turbo, but Lats was the one I was looking at. Can I ask you a question, mate? So have you, in all the stats that you've done, do you have matchup stats? So, for example, the left edge winger from Storm scored X amount of tries on the left wing. like break them down into how many points are being let in on the wing on the right side from, say, the Tigers or the left side?
Yeah, we're actually the only online source for try location data. There are some stats that we actually do ourselves. We're not just scraping other people's stats. We actually keep our own stats for left and right edge players.
Right.
In fantasy, we're not doing it in SuperCoach at the moment, but in fantasy, we also actually keep stats for try values.
Okay.
So player scores a try. We're actually recording, okay, that try had 22 metres, 3 tackle breaks, the line break, the sum total came to. Something we may do with SuperCoach starting this season. So, yeah, we do have that. Let me just pull it up. So where you want to go to is right down the bottom here, try locations. So if we have a look at, say, Rabbitohs for 2022, that's a left, middle, and right tries scored, and also left, middle, and right tries conceded.
Right.
Now that's there's a little bit of subjectivity to it. We go with where the try mainly evolved, and also defensively where the try mainly involved. Okay. So if the tries evolved through the left center and left edge, left back row combining, going through pretty much left edge players, and 50 metres later, the right wing is scoring in the right corner, that goes down as a left try.
Yeah, and that's what you want. You want to know where the lapse is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, can I ask how you get that, those like stats, the numbers?
We do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We actually watch the games and record. We actually record the stats.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now we also have a round matchups page.
Okay.
So at the moment, this is round game 2, Warriors versus Knights round 1. At the moment, that's just showing the team's last year stats because there's nothing for the season to show us yet. So you can actually see there New Zealand versus bottom 5 teams, which is what we're projecting Newcastle as being, average 0.8 tries a game on the left. Newcastle on the same edge, average 2.2 tries conceded.
Right. Interesting. All right. Well, one thing I will say is we're talking about fullbacks now, obviously, as well. So you mentioned, obviously, Trell and Teddy there. Is there anyone that maybe we could be looking at that might be a bit more polished that might go under the radar a little bit with these stats?
Yeah, sure. Let's just pull up our best buys.
Pappenhausen will be on my radar when he gets back.
Okay, so here's our best buys page.
Yeah.
We can actually select fullbacks in that. Why am I not getting anything up? Let me just try and... Why is it your site doesn't work the one time you're trying to do something with it?
Caleb Ponga.
Computers and bugs, please.
I'm on here now. It's saying Mitchell and Teddy are a must.
Mitchell and
Teddy. Yeah.
It says Caleb Ponga a yes, and then it's got Xavier Savage and Tom Trbojevic maybes, and the rest of it is no's.
Yeah, I think Lockie Miller's got some potential.
Yeah,
I've got no idea why I'm not getting this to happen on my own screen.
I think Miller's a hindrance to his team personally, but from a coach perspective, I think he's good value.
Look, I think Miller will do quite well. I think one thing massively underappreciated by people with the Knights is the fact that, you know, they've had an absolute crushing injury curse for 3 seasons now. And, you know, Penrith went through it for years, now ranking to the bottom of the table. Cowboys went through it for years, are ranking to the bottom of the table. Funnily enough, both teams within a couple of years of that ending went on to have a lot of success.
Yeah, true. All right. Well, I got a few little stats of my own that I've not as technical as the awesomeness that you put through, mate. What I like to look at is obviously the first few games and the average that they normally score against those teams as well. So We've really spoken about Trell and Teddy. So I've got Drinkwater here, and I did these stats before. I haven't changed Drinkwater on my team yet, but have a look at these stats here. So Drinkwater 746. He plays Canberra first round, only averages 48 against Canberra. So not overly great. I know there's not the biggest sample size, but it's still a bit of a bit concerning there. Broncos, he gets 58. New Zealand 65 and 66 with Gold Coast in the first 4 games. Looking at the Trell and Teddy, those are much higher, those averages in those first 4 games. For example, we haven't got an average, obviously, versus the Dolphins, but New Zealand 68 average for Teddy, South Sydney 69 average for Teddy, and then they have a bye, and then it's Parramatta 79 average. So I've already changed my mind on Drinkwater before I even saw that, but you just really opened my eyes there, so thanks for that.
Can I just speak to Drinkwater?
Yeah, go for it.
Some pluses. So the draw obviously is very conducive to Drinkwater starting Drinkwater in your side. The other 2 things that I think that people aren't going to think about is, one is that they're playing, I think, 10 in a row or 10 of them at home. So they've got a whole lot of games at home. But the bigger factor for me is the heat. The Cowboys play a lot of games up there and they're used to the heat. Sides travelling up there, playing in that heat could struggle. But having said that, because of the heat, the game could be broken down into 4 quarters, which isn't what you really want for SuperCoach attack stats.
Yeah,
he's also you never know. He also may have a bit of job security now with the hammer gone, which might make him a bit more comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good point. Awesome. Is there any other fullbacks, guys, we want to talk about before we move on to the 5'8"s?
Yeah, can we warn people off Charles Nickel Clockstead?
We try to, like every podcast. Mate. This is only our podcast number 2 for this year, but we try to warn them off them as it is.
If anyone is listening is looking at CNK
or Hammer,
or I'm just starting with the 2 Warriors players at the moment, CNK or Tamir Martin in either Supercoach or Fantasy, have a good look at their draw.
Yeah.
Oh, their draw is absolutely evil, and to take on TMM as the non-dominant half, and CNK stunk for the first 7 weeks last year for the Raiders. I think you're just playing with fire, and there's a lot safer value to be had.
Absolutely, and there's another perspective that people don't understand about Supercoach, and it's all about opportunities. A fullback like Tedesco's in a side like the Roosters, they're going to spend a lot of time penetrating the line. A lot of attack's going to happen. When you got somebody like the Warriors, the very few opportunities. What CNK will do for you is he'll give you base, but the ceiling's not there, and I don't believe the profit's there. At best, 50K. So I'm with you on that. Having said that, I really like Metcalf. I'm a huge fan. Luke Metcalf.
Yeah. One thing we actually didn't really talk too much about, actually, Jake, you might want to have a bit more of a say on this one, is Kalen Ponga. What are your thoughts? Any reason behind your rationale behind Ponga?
Look, I just know he's a star. I think his base will come up a bit because I think oppositions will target him in their attack.
Yeah.
So I think he can be making 30 tackles a game. And then if he kicks, well, he might get another 12 to 16 points there. I don't know. But I think I like him. I think he's a star. He might go well there. And he's got a few players outside him. Bradman Best apparently is training well. And he's got Marzio as well. So, look, I don't know. And he's got speed now with Lockie Miller.
Yeah. I agree with you, Jake.
I'm just going on his pedigree, to be honest.
Yeah.
We're showing 314K profit on his projection we've got him at.
Yeah.
On Kalen.
Yeah. We've got a projection on him of 80.
So
that's with the goal kicking.
Is that based on his history at fullback, or have you gone in and put projected scores based on him? Because he's at 5'8" now.
Yeah, so there's a very limited sample for him in the halves.
Yeah.
But what we do with situations like that, we start looking at similar players. So Kalen Ponga, Jack Whiten.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
There's quite a bit of similarity between the two.
I would actually say Kalen Ponga's got a better probably assist game than Whiten.
Slightly different games.
different.
But the role change, there's very little difference between Whiten's fullback average and his halves average. Now, you actually get exactly the same with Cameron Munster as well. There's very little difference in Munster's fullback average and his halves average. So if Ponga stays healthy, his fullback average and the goal kicking should really be in play.
Yep. And the only worry is there is, and I don't know if Hastings take the kicking. I mean, that could hurt, but you never know, I suppose.
Yeah, I think Ponga's a better kicker than Hastings. It is a possibility, but I really like the Ponga shout a lot. I really do at 5'8". I'm hoping he gets that dual position because I'm quite happy to throw him at 5'8" and move Schuster up.
Yeah.
Barry Tui's saying Ponga at the moment.
I will say this. I had Julie and Burton. I will get to 5'8", but I went through Munster's numbers today and they're impressive.
Mm. Yeah, one thing I will say on the Knights as well is I've been looking at a few pods from the Knights. No one mentioned any of these pods until all of a sudden looking on Facebook today, and everyone's talking about them. But like you mentioned Marzu earlier, I thought Marzu was at 1.5, and we know he's a Supercoach friendly game. But when I started looking at these pods, I was even looking at Dom Young for it because he's even cheaper. But their draw: New Zealand, West Tigers, Dolphins, Canberra, Manly, and then New Zealand in the first 6 rounds. That is one of the sneakiest good draws. The reason why we don't look at those good draws is because it's Newcastle.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
it's a very sneaky good draw. And even though it is Newcastle, they have firepower to attack all around the ground. Defensively, very, very limited, but they do have firepower to attack. So this could be some good upside there.
I still maintain that Latrell Mitchell and Ponga have the best hands in the game. Like Ponga has incredible hands, and he's got one of the best left-right steps in the game. I think 5'8" is going to be a real. It'll get him into the game more. At fullback, he tends to be out of position a lot. And I don't know if you notice, on the first play, he'll sit behind the ruck. On the second play, he'll step out wide. They'll miss him and a forward will go. And it's almost routine for him. I think 5'8" forces him to defend in the front line and get him into the game. And I really like the Ponga shout, mate. And he'll be in my side if he gets dual.
Awesome.
Can I just throw some food for thought into that Newcastle's defensive problems point?
Yeah, go for it.
If you go through, okay, who's the best defensive team of the comp over the last 10 years?
Melbourne,
hands down. If you go through the first 12 rounds last year, it was business as usual. About barely anybody put 20 points on Storm. In fact, one team did, and it was only 22.
Yeah.
But then once the injuries started happening after that, once the injuries started piling up, they were conceding 20 points to teams almost every week.
Yeah. They lost Welsh. That was a big one.
Yeah.
Yep. They had a number out. I think got to about 4 or 5 plays on the sidelines. Now, what Newcastle have been through injury-wise last few years, you can't have any defensive combinations when you've got different players on the field every team. The player that played the most games for them last year was Nrl Supercoach, and he doesn't even make their top 17.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Pappenhausen scored more points than any other player in the history of the game in the first 8 rounds last year. It's an interesting stat. Not actually Supercoach points, like more actual points, like actual goals and tries. More points than any other player in the history of the game.
For a season.
He was on a
season, Pappenhausen, the first 8 games of the season, more points. It's phenomenal.
Ridiculous.
Average 90.6.
All right, guys, let's move on to some 5'8". So I'll start with you, Glenn. Anyone apart from the regulars that we're keeping our eye on?
Give me a sec, bro. Yeah, so there are a couple. I mentioned one earlier. That's a half, actually. I'll get back to him. That's Fogarty. Ezra Mann. I really like the Broncos this year. And I think with a year under his belt, I think Ezra Mann could be a little bit of a surprise. And the other one that I had was Hastings. Oh, he's a half as well. So what am I?
No, Hastings is dual, mate.
Yeah, dual. That's right. Yeah, Hastings and Ezra Mann were the two. And the third one I wanted to throw in there was Dearden as a pod. Again, with the draw, I don't hate it. I mean, Dewey and Burton and Munster are going to be, I'll own either one of those or two. I'm not sure yet. But there's a few that stand out to me.
I'm a Tiger, and I cannot see anyone. I think Dewey's going to have one of the best seasons of anyone. If he's goal kicking, I just think he's such a big body. He's fit. I think he's going to have a big season. I'm a Tiger, though, so
Yeah, me too.
I've got a bit of hope.
No, I agree with you, mate. It's our year. I reckon we make the top 8, but let's not go there.
Well, he was my first pick. When I downloaded the app, I went straight and got Dewey.
Yeah, nice.
Then I just built around him, and he's probably the only one who hasn't left my team.
Yeah, Dewey and Burton at the moment. But I looked at Munster today, and geez, it scared me.
Well, I mean, what about someone like Cody Walker? Like, no one's really spoken about him. I know they got a bit of a tough draw, but when you said before Kalen and Latrell have got the softest hands, I'll tell you what, Cody Walker is an artist.
He is, and he's not people like I used to say years ago. Both Tyrone and I used to say, "Is the guy's just a fucking jag, lucky?" But he's not. He creates his own luck by being in those positions. He creates those opportunities and deserves them. Yeah, look, I don't hate the Cody Walker shout. I don't even hate the Keary shout that I've heard a few people say, especially now that they're going to have Angus on that left edge.
Yeah, I will say one thing about Cody Walker though. He's been pretty much a victim. I think we mentioned in the Podmasters chat earlier. He's been a victim of the new SuperCoach scoring system where he misses out in the assist with a sweeping fullback. So and nothing against Cody Walker, playing brilliantly. He gets to the right position. He should be getting those try assists. But then when Latrell's throwing that beautiful bloody pass at the end, even though Cody's set him all up, he doesn't get those points. So yeah, I think I'd love to have Cody in my team. He's the reason why I got 15th overall in 2020. So but yeah, I just think I might be staying away until we see what happens with their draw.
He'll make his way to my team sometime throughout the year. He always does.
Yeah, he's a great one to have. He's chuck in there in a bye game or a good matchup. Great one to have.
I think Brown's not a bad shout either, based on the fact that Eels play all 3 buys. I can see a scenario where Brown makes my side around 12 or 13.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got some stats here on Brown actually. I know no one's really talking about Brown that much.
He faced it with Munster all through the season. I had Munster, and I kept Brown all year. He was one of my best.
Yeah. So obviously everyone's talking about the draw being pretty rough at the start, and his first game, Melbourne averages 66.6 against Melbourne, which is a pretty big average against Melbourne. Yeah. Then you got the Sharks 78 average against the Sharks. Then Manly 72 average, and then you obviously have Penrith for 59 average. But a 59 average against Penrith over the last couple of years, that's pretty bloody good. Yeah, so I'm actually liking the Dylan Brown. I reckon there's other choices out there with a smaller draw, but Dylan Brown, not a bad shout.
I have an interesting stat, if you don't do it already, Adrian, is I have this theory that centre wings score better at the second half of the season, just based on what I've seen of SuperCoach over the years. Is there any stats to support or disprove that?
I'll tell you what, I'll have an answer for you later in the show.
Okay.
Ooh, I like it. I like a surprise.
I love maths people, mate.
Get the formula going.
That's me.
Let me just get my quick 5/8 speed in, and I can start whipping the answer up to that. I need more salary cap. Does anyone have the cheat code? Burton for me is really high up priority wise. He has 2 games against the Warriors and a game against Dragons in the first half of the season.
Nice.
Luke Keary. Luke Keary's coming up as projecting as being about 150, 160K value this year. And that's without actually factoring in how soft their draw is as well.
Yeah, I went that left edge last year, and then what's his name? Flipped them all around. Put Satilli on one side and Swark on the other side. Just messed the whole formula. And I really like the idea of Keary, Angus left, and I really would like that combination if I know for a fact that's what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
Well, I think you saw how they ended the year. They started off the wrong way and went the right way, and it just turned out better for the Roosters as a whole. So I think Robson's a very smart coach. I know he knows what he's talking about.
It's one hell of a back line, mate. I've got Roosters in the futures for a bet on. I've got a back Penrith and Roosters grand final.
All right. Any other 5/8 stats you got there for us, or is that pretty much it, mate? Or
they're the 2 I'd probably hone in on. Dewey's the other one. Dewey's going to have a monster season, so that's really worth a shout as well.
And just one more that we haven't mentioned, I should mention, is this is more of a money pick. You can pick him at 5/8 or second row, which is Josh Schuster.
He has to go second row. You have to get him in your second row. There's he's a player that I don't think I'm going to be wanting to have him my 17.
Yep.
But he can be last last second row and make his cash and then piss off.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And hopefully he's lost a bit of weight, because when he's at fully fit, he's actually pretty nifty little player. So
And I hope Seabold will hold him accountable. I mean, I don't feel like the way he was playing last season, if I'm his coach, I'm like, pull your head in, mate. I want you to watch where the ball's going, like save that trick stuff when we're ahead. You know what I mean? There's a certain way to play the game, and I don't believe he adheres to that. I believe he's got the talent, but I believe he needs a swift boot up the backside to hone that talent.
His attacking prowess is overhyped. It really stands out in fantasy. If you look at his numbers in fantasy playing second row, they really are nothing like a David Fafita.
Yeah,
but that's what everybody makes it out to be.
Yeah.
So it sticks out of even more in Supercoach. If you're not getting those tries and try assists, if Manly do implode and have a bad year, then there's not going to be a lot of cream with Schuster.
awesome. Alrighty. Is there any other 5-8s we're looking at, guys? I think I've pretty much got all of them. I think I'm looking at Hastings myself. Is a little bit might say anything there for me, but I'm liking the sound of Kiri as well. Awesome.
I love the sound of. So I just don't think Hastings has got a ceiling. I can't see him scoring over 90 points, Hastings.
100% agree with you. I think Hastings is that guy that you want to have as a solid, just get your safe score. Reason behind I'm trying to save money, because I don't want to have too many cheapies in my team. I want to have, because with the buys, the way it works this year, I'm trying to have my whole 25 players. I want to be able to feel comfortable playing them in my 17 at the start of the season anyway. And that way I can kind of I save my trades at the start, and then I can max trade and get those pods in towards the middle of the season. That's my little strategy that I'm looking at anyway. So might start off a bit slow with a bit of lower average kind of scores, and then try to come home real strong.
Yep.
All righty. Let's move on to the halfbacks, guys. So I think the big one here is obviously Cleary. Jake, no brainer. Have to get him.
Yeah, he's got that buy in round 3, but I think he's so highly owned. I think if you don't have him and he scores well, then you're behind. He's just class. I mean, coming off the back of Australia, I can't see him going bad.
That's it.
He's just a different gravy.
Do you reckon the no happy changes anything?
No. I think he'll get more ball. I think he might get more ball. They might shovel it out earlier. I don't know. He might end up getting a lot of touches like Nico Hines does. I don't know. But he's the opposite of someone like Schuster. Schuster's that flair, and Cleary's like Cooper Cronk 2.0.
Yeah.
He does the little things perfect.
Yeah. Except for under pressure situations, usually. Like AG, State of Origin. We'll talk about that right now.
Two grand finals, and I don't know.
Mate, I'm a Panthers fan. I love Cleary, but there's the amount of backlash you get for saying, "Oh, how good's Cleary?" You get so much abuse on there.
Mate, New South Wales halfbacks is the poison chalice. Everyone just loves to hate them and pick on them. But
how good was Pearce as a club player? And then he went to Origin, was terrible.
Well, that's what I mean. He before that we had John, so we're pretty lucky.
Yeah, that's it. Glenn?
I've been watching rugby league 56 years, and I can say this with my honesty in my heart. Cleary's the best player I've ever seen. And that's just a fact. He is good in every area. Goal kicking, forced dropout, front on tackle, defender, goes to the line, feeds the ball. He orchestrates. He's literally the best player I've ever seen. And I've been watching the game since the 60s. I've seen a lot of halves and a lot of spine players. And I mean, the modern day players are better because they train more. They've got a lot more facilities available. So that in itself is a reason. But he is, in my opinion, the best.
I've spoken to a few players and I've asked them about him, and every one of them cannot believe how tough he is.
Yeah.
The first thing they say is he is so tough.
Yeah, he takes it on the chin, the lad.
He's just.
So obviously as well, guys, big shout outs to Cleary. I love Cleary. So I know the YouTube comment's going to blow up about that comment that Glenn made, but that's all good, mate. You don't need to worry about dealing with it. I'll deal with it. Nico Hines, 902K. Is it worth going with both? I'll ask Adrian.
I think you definitely want Nico Hines for the start. People are saying that he's got a few tough games early. He's got such a high floor anyway. You know, if we plugged in his average score against those three opponents from last year, and over the 3 games, he would have lost like 20K. Not worth it. But then round 4, he has St. George. And then round 5, he has Warriors at Shark Park. Now, in case anyone's forgotten, when he played Warriors at Shark Park last year, he scored 185.
Mm.
The thing I love about Hines is when you own him and you're watching this game, I don't think there's anyone in the game who has as many touches as him.
Yeah.
And it's the old, he will just keep getting the ball 3 or 4 times a set, just keep getting it, and something's bound to happen.
Mm.
He just gets points.
Hines gets points like Cleary in every facet of the game. Every area that you can get Supercoach points, he gets them from. And it's hard to argue against people, and I am one of them at the moment, that has Hines-Cleary combination. But having said that, I have gone down to others like Fogarty or Hastings. There's a few there that I don't mind at a lower price that's enabled me to really beef my side elsewhere. So 900K is a lot to play, but I underestimated him last year moving to Sharks, having to defend in the front line. I thought everything would be on him quicker. I admit that I got it wrong. So I think I'm going to stick with Hines-Cleary, guys.
Hey, Adrian.
Yeah, mate.
Is there a way, another stat you can look up for me, is how many possessions the halves have had? Is that something you keep?
We do. Can you post that to me in a question?
Yeah, okay. Sure.
When we post a link for this, post it in the comments as a question, or I'll work it out.
Love it.
Yeah, in the AFL, like they go on possessions, they've got a stat for that. But obviously, in this, it'd be very important for our halves to know. Like, I reckon that'd be a great stat to know because
we have it. If you go into, I'm just trying to whip up that other stats question and answer at the moment. But if you go into our game logs, and expand base. And I'm pretty sure in there we've got his touches, receipts.
Can I speak to why I think SuperCoach Pro is such a weapon now? Is one of the things that you do really well, Adrian, that I've noticed since you've joined, is you pose the question to the group. Like you're in the chats that I'm in with all the main people that do all the stuff. And what I like about it is if there's something that we're not covering and one of us sees that needs to be done, it's as simple as saying to Adrian, hey, there's a stat here that we feel would be useful to SuperCoach, and he's approachable. And bang, they're just straight onto it. You know what I mean? And like I saw suggestions in the thing, and it was like, bang, good suggestion, straight onto it. And it's a part of the system and the page that you're running. And I think that anyone that's approachable is a plus straight off the bat.
Yeah.
Thanks,
One thing, so far we've asked a couple of questions about random stats, and you've just said, "Yeah, I've got them. Yeah, I've got them." I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to ask a question now, mate, and it's going to be more of a joke question. However, I feel like you may have this stat. Have we got a stat of how many points Nico scores with wet hair and with dry hair?
Well, we actually do have. We do have the weather covered,
mate. I'm on this game log now, and I'm filling out filters. And it's got weather, and mate, there is. It's got clear, cloudy, drizzle, fine, gale, heavy rain, humid, light rain.
Absolutely,
mate, it's got every type of weather there is.
We've actually got more coming as well.
Yeah, nice.
Stats, not weather.
And for those out there that love stats, I mean, you can just frig around with this for hours, and really, like some of the best seasons I had have been the ones where I've really studied the stats early. So do yourself a favour, coaches. Get out there, check out SuperCoach Pro, and join in like we all are and learning. It's good.
Awesome. All right, guys. Let's talk about a few maybe lesser known halfbacks that we haven't really thought of talk about yet. The first one here I got is Jerome Hughes, 721K. Any thoughts on there, Glenn?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, especially the fact that Pappenhausen's out, I think that's a plus. There's another stat out there that I do know is correct, is that Hughes does score better with Pappenhausen out of the side. Something you can confirm and check if that's correct. I do like Hughes, mate, and he's one I've entertained. So as I said to you, I've looked at the option of going one cheaper based on points per dollar, and I think points per dollar wise, Hughes makes sense. I mean, look at that. SuperCoach averages 68.6 with a PPM of 0.89. That's good for half. That's incredible for a half that doesn't goal kick. You got to remember the other ones are all goal kicking, and and that's the negative to it, Hughes. That's my only negative.
Yep. All right, Jakey. Any other halfbacks we haven't really spoken about too much today?
Well, going on the Roosters theme again, I mean, there's a lot of talk about Sam Walker. I personally, I love him. You know what? For 3 years, that's all I heard about was Sam Walker coming through. And I love watching him play. I love seeing the little guys have a go. But for me, I suppose it's a bit risky to jump on that, I think. But in that Roosters side, with the players outside him, he could do well.
Tanner Boyd. We've got to mention Tanner Boyd.
Well, that's right. I've got 3 down here that I was going to mention. SOS, Tanner Boyd, and DCE. I think that there's 3 that people haven't spoken about. I mean, DCE, I like their side if Turbo's in it with DCE. But Tanner Boyd, I agree with you. If Tanner Boyd starts, he'll be in my 9 position instead of Cheese. And I know that's strange to people, but I just need to find a spot for Tanner Boyd. Kicking. But he's in a battle over that with Sexton at the moment.
Yeah.
But I've got him in my hooker. I mean, is there with DCE, I feel like he might have those similar numbers that Hughes has with like Pappenhausen. When Turbo's in, his points aren't as great.
Yeah, that could be correct, mate. I mean, DCE, that could be correct. It'd be interesting.
But he's another player like Hines. Like, I know a lot of people don't like DCE, mate. The way he's such a competitor, I love him.
He is. I like DCE a lot. I tend to look at him at the back end of each season.
Yep.
He tends to come home strong, although that proved to be a myth. I went through his numbers last year, and it was actually a myth.
The damage isn't over from Manly's pride round debacle last season.
Yeah.
I mean, those rifts, they don't just go away over a preseason. You've got players there that are genuinely frigging pissed.
Yeah, that's right.
With 10, 12, 15 players in their squad. It's not just the 7. It's not just the 7 that stood down. It's also the 5 or 6 others that Hasler went to and said, are you going to play for me? No, not going to wear that jersey.
Yeah, that's right.
So it was more than just the 7. And the Trebojeviches were very Hasler loyal.
Yeah.
I don't think they're happy with Hasler being booted out much at all. I find it hard to see a reality where Manly don't implode this season.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see how it unfolds. I mean, Seibold's an interesting coach. I wonder if he's a bit too mythical for the Manly. Manly's kind of we've followed Manly for years. It's always only seemed to get success when Manly stalwarts come in. People from the Manly structure seem to work within the systems when they do well. But it'd be interesting. I mean, I've got Turbo in my side. But I thought DCE was a mention. The one I really like, it's Fogarty. He's goal kicking, average 62.5. He only played half the season last year because he came in the back end of Snyder. But if anyone watched Fogarty at the back end of the season last year and you're looking for a pod, I don't hate it.
I don't love it. Value-wise, I don't love it. I think he's priced. I think he's priced pretty much what he's going to average.
And that's fair, 658. That's a fair call, mate.
I feel like in the halves position, I mean, I just feel like it's such a risk. There's such value there with Hines, Cleary and Hughes. I mean, if you take a risk, take it in your forwards or your back row. I feel like you can really fall behind with those 3.
I think we've got to talk a bit of strategy apart from players here as well. We're coming into a season now where it's a completely different game, and I think 90% plus of people are coming into this season with the exact same mentality they've played Supercoach and fantasy with over the last 3, 4, 5 years.
That's where the good coaches do well, is where they learn to adapt. I remember this season, like my strategy in the past has always been the same, stack the pack. And most of us long-term Supercoach players, that's how we roll. We stack the pack, we know where our base is coming from. Put in between that, we throw in the cheapies, build up our cash, and then build up to the ceiling players. But over the last 3 years, the game has changed, and it's meant that ceiling, you got centre wings now who are averaging just as well as second rowers. which means that players like Tahoe, Valentine Holmes, even May, Targo, those type like players could be just as safe, and you can allow you to get those 400k second rowers and spend a bit more on your centre wing or your spine.
And you can't have a never try to keep a mentality this year.
No.
I mean, if you buy Cameron Murray to start the season out, and you have a never try to keep a mentality, well, you're going to get like 3 games out of him through the entire middle of the season.
Yeah,
with
that's
the way
right.
their buys work out of sync with Origin.
Yeah.
And then he's got another buy in round 20, and then he's got another buy in round 26, which is head-to-head finals week. Like, I think this is a year where you can trade keeper for keeper, where you can ride a player like Hines for a good patch, and then jump to a Cleary for a little bit.
Absolutely.
And then jump to move your money somewhere else.
Yeah. So it works out that we have, I think I worked it out that 1.7 trades per week. If we with the new trading system that we have. So pretty much, if you don't trade for the first 3 rounds, you could do 2 trades a week if you wanted to from 3 runs from round 4 onwards. Obviously, that doesn't consider the boost and all that kind of stuff. But imagine having 2 trades left for the whole year in previous years, Glenn. Like it would be amazing to have that just by not trading for the first 4 rounds.
You know what I have noticed in everybody's side is there's no room for revenue in the spines. So like revenue is key. I'm telling you, I've been playing Supercoach for a fair while in every format, but in NRL more than any other one, revenue is key and forward planning around buys, especially in the buy duration. But you look at the spines that people have at the moment, and there's not much room for growth. So just keep that in mind. You know, look at your side and say, where is my money coming from? Because you've got to make sure that, go for the points and get your ceiling players, but make sure you have a balance of revenue so that you're making that money so that you can get to the team that you're aiming for. And one of the things I do is I actually build the team that I'm aiming towards. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would stacking the pack be a bit more, would make more sense this year then, knowing that you could probably get more growth and revenue from your spine and your centre wing?
Well, centre wings generally make more money the fastest. That's proven through Supercoach history that centre wings make the money the quickest. So that's where the money is. But Tyrone and I spoke about that strategy today, actually, about the stack the pack strategy might be still applicable based on the fact that everyone's stacking their spines.
Love it. All right. Is there any go Jake, sorry.
Adrian, I'm playing around on this website, mate. It is impressive.
It's wicked.
It is information overload, and I tell you, like, I'd love to build another team, have a play team, just based on your projections with dollars.
Have you had a look at Team Picker yet?
I haven't been on Team Picker, no. I'm just playing through it now. But I'm just scrolling through each team and looking at the numbers, and some of the projections here are huge.
So over on the menu, third item down on the left screen, Team Picker. Yep. Pull that up.
We'll bring you on at time to
now,
time.
this is absolute gold for casual players. If you don't want to do an awful lot of research, instead of wasting your time putting teams up on Supercoach Central, having randoms you don't know tell you what to change, and just recycling, jump in here, it might blow your mind.
A couple of years ago, I was on the Fantasy Premier League, and I was using the similar one, Team Picker to that. And I had my best season. I finished in the top 40,000, which I know doesn't sound like much, but
for Fantasy Premier League,
there's like 12 million people in that one. So,
that's huge.
But I used that, but I had to pay a subscription. It was like £30 for the year or something ridiculous. But yeah, mate, I'm all over this. When are you starting to charge? Is this going to be like a Daily Telegraph $1?
No, we've got for either Fantasy or Supercoach, it's just $30 for a season. And we've got a pre-round 1 special of $20 for the first season. Then we've got other bundles if you want to get Supercoach and Fantasy, or other platforms such as Punter Pro.
We'll bring you on again as well, Adrian, at different times through the season, so we can talk about what's gone well, what's got updates, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure. Now, we want to have a lot of people paying an affordable amount rather than be trying to, totally skin a small group of people.
Yep.
Mate, I I'll be all over this. Shut up and take my money. The KFC has.
We've got some more stuff to come as well.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, mate.
Look, I've got the answer to that question for you.
Yeah.
So, look, the way I've done this, I've split the season into thirds.
Okay.
So up to round 12, then round 13 to 19, and then round 20 onwards.
Okay.
And methodology-wise, I've worked out average player PPM across those.
Right.
So what we come out at, centres go average PPM of 0.58 to 0.62 to 0.61.
Yeah.
Not really much in it. Wingers 0.58 to 0.62 to 0.61. And fullbacks came out a little bit funnier, 0.7 first 12 rounds, 0.78 through the middle, and then 0.73 on the run home.
Okay. It's interesting, eh? There's not a lot of variance, really, as much as I thought there would be.
No, it's pretty negligible for
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything statistically significant there for centers and wingers.
You know what it might be, Glenn? It might be the start of the year. It just gives that illusion because at the start you're picking players based on money value, and at the back of the year you're picking wingers based on runs. So it might seem like you're getting more points.
That's probably correct, mate. I just know that I used to break it down into, like, when I had stacked a pack, if I could get 200 for my centre wing in the first 8 rounds, I was stoked. That's average 50 for each. And then I tried to work the ceilings in. And that strategy worked well for me.
200's a disappointing week for CTWs
now, isn't it?
These days.
Yeah, as I was saying that today. 4 years ago, if you had a player averaging 70, they were a must-have. Get them in. Now all of a sudden, gets a play. You're like, what happened?
Remember taking some captain scores at 50.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd looping 90s.
What'd you say a wing score? 200. Oh, what'd your other 3 score then? Oh no, that's all of them. No. Awesome. All right, guys. Any other thing about halfbacks before we move on?
No.
All good.
Moses and Brown in the halves could be interesting through the bye period, but be careful because after the bye period they have a bye with several other players, so they're on top of it.
I wonder if Redcliffe run that cheap young kid from Katoa from Penrith.
I think SOS and Milford. Sorry.
Yeah. I honestly, I think we all wish that. But I think, especially with Milford and Bennett having a history, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
Well, it could work out well. We get to start, and then he could come in round 6, or if there's an injury, it could be a good downgrade for him.
That'd be nice, trade down.
And the fact that he's a dual as well. So you say if someone did have, say, an example, had a Hastings, and then Hastings is, his draw's over now. He's just going up a little bit in price. Then you just bring him in and bank some cash.
Can I just say something to that? So because there are a lot less duels, you really need to be savvy into what ones you can get so that you still have that play of movement availability that we like having in Supercoach. I mean, I like the fact that if I buy someone here, I can move him there and bring someone in here, rather than just selling a 5'8" for a 5'8". You can maybe move like Schuster up to a second row. But there's a lot less in the duels this year, and hopefully there's some changes there.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right, guys, before we go, I just want to talk about our cash comps. So we didn't have Bill on tonight. So cash comps, they're filling up very fast, guys. So if you want any cash comps, we're head-to-head overall, ready to go. Make sure you PM Rod Thompson or jump onto our NRL Supercoach Projects cash page. I'll sell it out quickly, guys. So looking like our best year yet, which is great. Yeah. Also, I want to mention our overall group. So the Supercoach Tragics overall group. The code is 223606. Jump in, guys. The winner receives a Supercoach Champions ring. Proudly sponsored by Supercoach Champions ring. I think it's the Supercoach Champions. Yeah. Great guys. They're awesome. That's I think the 3rd year in a row they've given us a ring for this overall group, which is fantastic. And along with getting a Supercoach Championship ring, you'll also receive free entry into a cash comp next year. And that entry will really just coincide with what you rank overall. So if you win and make top 50 overall, you will get put into a $200 cash comp next year. If you make top 100, I think you get a $100 gift card, and so on and so forth. So jump in that, guys. It's free to enter. Jump in. Yeah. Awesome. Also, guys, just being released now. We'll put the link on our page, but the SC Talk Mega Guide is out now. So feel free to jump on our page there. Great read, another good along with Adrian bringing out some great content there to read before the season starts and throughout the season, which is fantastic. So we'll post that on the page after the podcast as well. All good. Anything else you want to talk about today, guys?
Just one thing, the knockout comp that Ross is running.
Oh, yes.
Yep. So apart from the cash money, we're throwing in 2 platinum subscriptions for 2024 for the 2 teams that end up in the final for that as well.
Oh, yeah,
awesome. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Great work. That's great. Good to hear. And we're going to it'll be good because we're going to be doing this at the start of the season too. So when that is, I think round 4, round 5, when I might finish this one, you'll get the majority of the season, about 23 rounds of awesome stats. Fantastic. All right, guys.
Just before we end, when we do finish, can you go up to our page when you get a minute, put your link up again on the top of our page, and I will tag it to the top. So
yes, sweet.
Yeah, so it stays up there for everyone.
Hey, Adrian, were you a big fan of that movie Moneyball?
I love it. Absolutely love it.
I thought that'd be up your alley.
Yeah, Ty loves it too.
All right, guys.
Yeah. So if you want a kind of analogy between Moneyball and NRL, you know how they buy what was his name? The superstar player virtually about to retire.
Oh yeah, the pitcher.
No. It was
Or is the one that always gets on base?
no. Remember, he's in the batting cage, and the manager comes up and starts talking to him. He's big noting himself. That's why you're paying me $7 million.
Yeah.
He says, "No, we're not paying you $7 million.
Right.
The Yankees are paying us $3.5 million for you to play against them." Yeah. That's Tarek Sims.
Tarek Sims, yeah, okay.
Who I guarantee will not be playing edge for the Storm this year.
No, I don't think so either.
All right, guys. Thanks for that. I feel like we could have had this conversation after the pod, but that's great, guys. We're gonna love cohesion. Wouldn't be a podcast, a SuperCoach Tragics podcast, without great cohesion at the end. Awesome, guys. Well done. Thanks once again, Adrian, for jumping on, mate.
Pleasure, mate.
It's gonna be great having you on. I'm sure we'll have on for the rest of the year as well. So, cheers. Thank you. Peace out, boys.
See you later, gentlemen.